What do other teams think of the Packers looking at us, if you will? What do they think of the Packers when they look at them and they say, okay, here's what they do well or okay, and here's what they don't do so well?
Oh, boy, good question. I'm probably not the best to answer that because I'm so close to it here to be able to figure out what other people are thinking of the Packers. But I would think, what they look at the Packers as doing, they're probably looking at the Packers saying, well, these guys are a little better defensively than maybe people think and maybe some of their numbers say. They're saying offensively, they've got ability at those wide receiver spots, but they're very young. And in the running game, they haven't seen Aaron Jones really since opening week, but if he's playing, that's an issue.
Yeah, that changes everything defensively if you're going against the Packers. I would think a lot of teams would say, don't let number 9 get over the top against you because his speed is truly elite in the NFL, short of only probably Tyreek Hill. And Christian Watson looks good to go. He does not appear on the injury report at all.
No, he does not. I think the only thing for Christian is that mental hurdle. The last hurdle you go over as an athlete coming back from an injury, Butch, you know this, it's not physical. You're ready to go. If they put you in the game, you're really ready to go physically. They don't let you play half injured anymore. It's not the 1960s or 70s. But the last hurdle an athlete has to overcome is the mental thing that, okay, I can extend on this. And that 77-yard reception in Vegas, I couldn't help but think as I was watching him make that move to the end zone and then saw that cornerback catch him from behind of the horse collar tackle, that would have never happened last year. He would have never gotten there to make that penalty. And that play, actually, that penalty turned that game. But at any rate, I think Christian will be even better this week, and I look for him to have a big season as we go forward, all things considered health-wise.
Okay. Broncos dead last in opposing passer rating in the NFL this year. They're on pace to allow the most passing yards in NFL history. Wow. What is a good game statistically for Jordan Love?
Well, first off, the Broncos they have better talent than their stats would indicate. And that game at Miami has kind of blown their stats out the water. So what do we all look at? We hide behind stats, we in the media, and the Broncos stats look terrible. I mean, as you mentioned, they're last against the run. They're last overall in yardage. They're 30th against the pass. I mean, just brutal. But you look at their talent on tape, and you're saying to yourself, wow, this is they have more talent than this. And so I think they're a little better defense than what's indicated. I think a good game for the Packers is about 120 yards rushing. I think a good game for the Packers would be 250 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns, no turnovers. That would be a really good game for the Packers. And they score 28 points.
I will take it. Wrap it up.
Right? We all would. We all would. Wayne, what? How do you think the Packers handle the Eric Stokes comeback? How do they maneuver that? I know there's still the 21-day windows there, but they've got good play from the other players. Like, how do they maneuver that? Do you think?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I've been wondering about that myself because when watching the tape again last night of the game from Vegas, I think the Packers cornerbacks and Jair is coming back off that back injury. But, when you look at what Keyshawn Nixon's doing in the slot, he's very active, and I saw him supporting really well against the run. Again, Rasul Douglas, I think, has been really solid on the outside. So I think what you do with Stokes is you kind of fit him in. You just kind of blend him in a little bit. You play here, maybe a series here, a series there. You get him going that way. You don't have to put him out there as a starter playing the whole game right away. You can kind of see how this thing plays out and see how well he's playing when he's in there.
When I've heard this week, a couple people talk about, well, Packers should be sellers at the trade deadline if they lose to Denver. And Aaron Jones is this. This game is very important. If they do lose this game, do you think that the Packers become sellers?
No, what are they selling? I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
Nope, that's why I asked, because I've heard people say when I'm like, there's no way this team is sellers. They need to know who they are, and they need to do that with them.
Butchie. and
What?
lose their number. What are
Well,
they selling? What do they have to sell?
I don't disagree, but I wanted Wayne's opinion on it because I've heard it throughout the meeting here a little bit. I'm just like, where is this coming from? You need to find out who your core is. What are you doing? So that's why I wanted your opinion on that, Wayne.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you're not going to sell any of those young guys, are you? You're not going to sell Christian Watson.
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
I've heard Aaron Jones. But I'm like, why? You need to know who Jordan Love is, and you need to have this. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't see them selling these. I really don't. Maybe they will. I doubt it. But no, I think. And by the way, I don't think Gutekunst's going to be buying either. Okay, I think they're going with this core. They're saying, okay, we're going to find out exactly like you said. We're going to find out exactly what we have by the end of this 17-game season, and then we're going to go from there and do what they can with the salary cap situation next year being what it is.
Yeah, they've got another year, as we all know, Wayne, of having to work through this cap backlog, because they did go all in 21 and 22 to give Rodgers every chance to do something, and it didn't work out. More questions. Assess the Lukes for me. Lucas Van Ness, Luke Musgrave. They've shown flashes, both guys. Who's having the better rookie campaign so far? And any thoughts on where either one of them still needs to move the needle?
I think Musgrave has probably had the better campaign. He's had more time on the field than Lucas Van Ness, in my opinion. And that's I don't have any of this stats to back that up, but that's my guess. The tight end has been a starter. The defense, the pass rusher has been he's been a role player going into games. Mm-hmm. So I would say Musgrave's had probably more of an opportunity. I would say both are where you would expect rookies to be at this stage of the game and both developing. Troy Aikman said something on the telecast last week that Matt LaFleur was not happy with Luke Musgrave. And I don't know. I haven't heard that, but that was kind of to me. These kids are developing and development is not a straight line up. It's a jagged edge type of progression. You go up one week, you're down the next, you're up another week, you're hoping you're making 2 steps up and for every step you take down. So I think there's a lot for these kids to devour and to get, but I think they're progressing. It's just so early right now. It's hard to make a determination as to who's who on this team yet.
Yeah, having worked in radio with a former tight end for a couple of years, and Chris Cooley, former Redskin, I learned more about the tight end position than I ever knew. And every day I'm like, oh, that actually is more complicated than I thought. It's a lot of reading defenses. The tight end has to read out plays and coverages simultaneously with the quarterback to know where to sit down and where to go. It's part of why Cooley had such a good career for a guy who wasn't very highly touted, because he studied like a maniac. So I think that's the learning curve that Musgrave is having. I saw a stat, Wayne, that said that Musgrave is in the top 5 or so of tight end separation when they count separation on routes, but he's not very high in targets. So Love is not targeting him as much as maybe he could.
Yeah, and there've been a couple of wide open situations where either Luke has maybe missed the pass or dropped it, and Jordan's missed him. A couple of wide open routes. One thing to look for this week, and this is something Kansas City did with Denver with their tight ends. They really attacked the second level of this defense, the linebacking core in front of the safeties. And it'll be interesting to see if the Packers can do that against Denver. Denver's linebackers are more run oriented, and they're, if you can get some separation in the middle of the field, you might have something here, because Kansas City did a lot of that. But of course, now again, they were doing that with Kelsey, who's maybe one of the best tight ends of all time. But nonetheless, that may be something to look for this weekend.
Wayne, we heard from Jordan Love a couple days ago, and he said, hey, I need to focus on just finding completions instead of forcing the ball downfield for big plays. Do you like that thought process for a young quarterback?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I also think that the situations he's been put into, guys, have led to some of these incompletions. I mean, he's passing in a lot of they're behind the chains a lot, it seems like. And he's having to throw in obvious passing situations. And that's really hard, even for a veteran quarterback. to have a high completion percentage. But, when they've been, almost 11% of their third down situations have been 10 yards or more. That's quite a bit. And, third and 6 or less, he's completing 66% of his passes. So I think the key for the Packers offensively, get ahead of the chains, get production on first down. I don't care if it's a swing pass, which Bill Walsh always used to say replaces the run, or a running play that is effective more than 4 yards. That's what you're looking for on first and second down. Then you stay ahead of the chains, and then you give your quarterback a little more of an opportunity. I think at times this year, Matt LaFleur has called more passing plays early because on first downs, 1st and 10, you're not behind the chains, and maybe you've got a chance to get ahead of the chains if you make a completion, that type of thing. Whereas, maybe more conventionally, we'll see this week where they try to move the needle on the ground early downs because Denver has struggled against the run.
All right. Exit question. Have you workshopped a 60-yard field goal make by Anders Carlson? Because that's on our bingo card this week.
And it needs to happen.
Have you workshopped it? I have some Denver suburbs ready for you. Littleton, Highlands Ranch, Arvada, Castle Rock. That one's good from Castle Rock. I mean,
That's a great city.
just in case. It is a great city.
I was thinking
You probably have not bothered to workshop a 60-yard call.
Let's do Fort Collins. That's even farther away. Or Boulder.
Fort Collins. Yes. Boulder. Fort Collins. All right, Wayne. Safe travels. Have a great call. I know you will. We'll hear you right here on the home of the Packers on Sunday.
Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
All right. Coming up, Let's Goes and Oh No.